What's up, guys? Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be going over subs and functions. And subs and functions are sort of a new concept in programming that we haven't really looked at yet, but we've been using all this time whether we realize it or not. And they're very important in object-oriented programming. You're going to want to understand everything in this video before sort of moving on to learning more about object-oriented programming, which is what Visual Basic is. So try to absorb as much as you can, and don't get discouraged if it doesn't sort of click at first. Okay, you'll get it. It's really not that bad. So to start, what is a sub? Well, a sub is really just a bunch of code that does something. Okay. Remember back to Hello World when I told you we're just going to sort of ignore some of that auto-generated code? Well, what we were doing really was building a sub without really knowing it, okay? Remember we said to just put everything in between sub main and end sub. Well, we were really building a sub, and when we ran our program, that sub was being executed. And as we saw with the programs we built, okay, that sub was able to do something. Now, sub main is sort of a special sub because that name main sort of indicates where to start, okay? Your program, when you run it, it always starts in sub main, okay? But we can have as many subs as we want, and they can all sort of interact with each other once the program gets going. So we already sort of see the syntax up here. I'm going to go ahead and make my own sub now. And it's real easy. I'm just going to go outside of sub main. I'm going to use that keyword sub. I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call mine sub say hello. For now, we're just going to use those closed parentheses again, just after all sub or function names. I'm going to be going over what those are in the next video. But for now, close parentheses, enter. I get, end sub automatically put in there. And now I just need to make my sub do something. So this one's going to be real basic. I'm just going to have this sub right to the screen hi. That's it. Now, if I were to run this now, my program wouldn't do anything. And that's because, like I said, it starts in sub main. And sub main's empty, so it would just say, okay, I'm done. Okay, it would never get to say hello, and that's because say hello is never called. Okay, calling a sub or function just means saying, okay, go ahead and do this sub or function. So we need to call say hello in the main, and how we call it is really easy. We just use the name. So I'm going to say hello, close parentheses, done. I'm going to put a console, that read key in there, and now if I were to run this, okay, I would just get hi, okay. In the main, when I say this, it says, okay, I have to go and find say hello and do whatever is in say hello. So it's going to come down here, it's going to do this, then it's going to jump back to submain, and of course it's going to hit that console.read key. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and as you can see, it just prints hi, okay, like expected. Waits for that keystroke, and then it's done, okay. And that real basically is what a sub is, okay? Now in this particular case, it probably just would have been easier for me, to use console.writeLine hi in the main. But keep in mind, that these sub bodies or whatever can be, as long as you want them to, and they can carry out very, complicated procedures, okay, every time they're called. Okay, so those are subs, okay? Now we're going to go over functions, which are essentially the same thing, only functions do one additional thing, and that is return a value, okay? They return a value wherever they were called. So I'm going to go down here and make my own function, okay? I'm going to use a keyword function. It's essentially the same sort of syntax. Function, the name, I'm just going to call this one give number, so it's going to give me a number. Again, for now, close parentheses, and then here's where functions sort of differ. We need to specify what type of value this is going to be returning. So this is going to give me a number, so I'm just going to say it's going to return an integer. Hit enter, it gives me that end function thing. Now we just need to fill in the body of this function, and you see it's giving me an error now because I haven't told it to return anything, and it's really not a function unless it does return something. So this one, real easy, useless, but just sort of as an example. I'm going to have this, whenever it's called, it's going to return to me the value 20. So every single time this is called, it's going to return 20. Very, again, useless, but it's just sort of an example. So remember console.writeLine and console.readLine? Ignoring console., which is really just a class these subs and functions were organized into, those were subs and functions, right? I have right here, console.writeLine high. Okay, this is on its own line, and it can just sort of do, its own thing. Console.readLine was sort of useless unless we saved the value that it returned. Okay, those things were subs and functions. So how we would use those in the main here, let's go ahead and call give number, and I'm gonna declare a variable to sort of store this. So, oh, why can't I type equals give number? Okay, and again, functions can also do things too, but they're sort of pointless to have unless you're using the value they return. If you don't need them to return anything useful, then just go ahead and use a sub. So that's how we would use subs and functions. And again, these examples sort of hard to see where they're useful, but trust me, you're gonna use these a lot. Okay, especially if you get more into object-oriented programming. So yeah, subs and functions, not only are they a way of saving time in typing, but they also really organize your code, okay? Writing an entire program is just one huge sub or one huge function, is sort of more beginner, okay? It's a good practice to break whatever problem you're trying to do into different parts and use those different parts that you create to solve the overall problem. Okay, it's just a higher level of programming, really. So those are subs and functions. In the next video, I'm going to be going over parameters, which are really what those closed parentheses mean, which are going to make your subs and functions a lot more useful. But for now, that's really all I wanted to go over. Thanks for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, whatever. And if you got all that down, then feel free to move on, and I will see you in the next video.